And the torch has been passed. Connor McDavid comes up clutch when Canada needed it most, scoring the overtime winner to clinch the Four Nations face-off for Team Canada. McDavid, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points of the tournament, tied with, you guessed it, Sidney Crosby for the most by Canadians. It's fitting that my next guest joins me now. He interviewed Sidney Crosby after the golden goal in 2010 in Vancouver, and then he interviewed Connor McDavid after the 2025 Four Nations face-off victory. And Ryan, you follow Connor McDavid every single day. You cover the Oilers. Just how massive is this goal, not just for Team Canada, but just McDavid himself, his career?
Yeah, he found a moment, didn't he? Like, that is a big signature moment. Interesting, Jay, on a night where it was not a signature game from Connor McDavid. And he was kind of the first one to admit that. I don't know I've watched a period of hockey where, and I'm talking about the first period, where Connor McDavid had the puck less. It felt like he didn't have the puck at all in the first half of that game, and I think he got some more touches throughout, but man, it was so tight. You didn't see those signature rushes and those spins in the offensive zone and making things happen. Like, this was a really tight game. I think the U.S. just did a great job of, shutting down a lot of the stuff that's normally there for him during regular season hockey. But he finds a soft spot in the slot, somehow gets left alone and picks his spot. McDavid was the first to admit when we were talking to him in his media availability after this wasn't the best night for him, his line. But he finds a signature moment here, Jay, and this is going to be big for Connor McDavid, right? That Game 7 disappointment, that stuck with this group. That was tough for this group, and so have a nice moment like that happen mid-season here. I think McDavid's going to take, tonight to enjoy it, but the Edmonton Oilers, Jay, face off in Philadelphia in 36 hours.
Right.
So, yeah, not a ton of time to enjoy it.
It's going to be so weird to see Travis Sanheim trying to wallpaper McDavid against the boards on set, right? Isn't it strange, right? They just go right back to the NHL.
Yeah, well, and I was kind of joking with McDavid, are you just by instinct going to just dump the puck in all the time? Because that's what they had to do here. When you watch Connor McDavid play regular season hockey, he'll go games without dumping the puck in. And I think he did it 5 or 6 times in his first 3 or 4 shifts. But that's the formula here. It's tight. It's like playoff hockey. He said it's like going from regular season hockey to Game 7, in a final. So pretty tough corner to turn, and now he's got to turn back to regular season hockey. So we'll see how all these players rebound from this event.
McDavid was the OT hero, but maybe, Ryan, the OT hero was Jordan Binnington? Does this country owe Jordan Binnington an apology for doubting him?
All of us. You, me, everybody, just a blanket. No, I mean, listen. When you look at the stats and the numbers and everything coming in, the debate, I think, it was fair, right? It was a hotly contested thing. But what I'm impressed with is that John Cooper and the staff and the players, quite frankly, they all kept saying, this guy's a winner. This guy's a winner, and you can count on him. And Canadian fans and a lot of the media just kind of weren't having it, because through the tournaments, I think it's fair to say there's probably a goal he'd want back in every single game, right? But he'd also make these unreal saves like you're looking at right here. And so you'd think, man, how can a guy let the weak one in on most nights and then be so good in some of these other moments? But here's the thing. Didn't let the bad one in tonight and was still spectacular in the big moments. So yes, what an incredible story for Jordan Binnington. Jordan Binnington, the most criticized player coming in to this tournament where Team Canada is concerned, and is sensational when it matters the most. And his teammates were happy to pile on the rest of us post-game and saying, will you all leave him alone now?
Yep, that's fair. I think that's fair. You were there at the Bell Center last Saturday, Ryan. You're obviously there at TD Garden on Thursday night. Can you describe the atmosphere, before the game? Was it even more charged up? Certainly it seemed more politically charged the day of leading up to it. Did you feel that in the building?
I would say that other than the overtime tonight, and that was a huge moment in overtime, so kind of, set that to the side. The game itself, this wasn't what the other night was. This wasn't the same. That first game, those fights, those scraps, that mayhem, and then the game that followed, that was truly something special. And the Bell Center was truly something special. Like, for that game to have happened in Canada with the energy on that stage with that crowd was truly incredible. Different setting here, right? They were very loud and supportive of the U.S. team. It was a loud, energetic building, but it wasn't the same. So this was a spectacular finish and an amazing moment. But I do have to say, Jay, it wasn't quite the same here as it was there. And whether it's because of how long everybody had to wait to see Canada-U.S., and that was the first one, the scraps, whatever you want to call it, it didn't quite have the same kick from start to the end of the game here. And then overtime happened, and well, I think that kind of evens it up. It was a pretty special night here, too.
Yeah, it sure was, Ryan. Last question for you. Having followed and covered this tournament and covered Team Canada, and now looking ahead to 2026, do you see the significant changes that this team maybe needs to make going into 2026, or is there something that stuck out to you? Is there a player? Is there something different you feel like this team needs to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this team, because there hadn't been best on best and this group hadn't necessarily been together as a unit, I think they put a priority on having some experience here, right? The Drew Doughties and the Mark Stones and some of these guys that are maybe a little bit older, but they love that experience and that big game experience. So it'll be interesting to me to see if, in some ways, space is cleared for some younger legs, right? For some guys that can maybe, burn in a different way than some of these guys could. And that's no disrespect to any of them, but you saw Thomas Harley multiple times, a guy that didn't make this team, a younger guy, came in, acquitted himself, pretty darn well. So it'll be interesting to me to see how many different faces there are. There are some great veterans you can lean on, no question, and the obvious ones will be there. But I think we'll see the changing of a few guards when it comes to some of the depth and key role players for Canada.